Mr. Depp.
Johnny and I had not seen each other for the better part of a month, or about a month. I was traveling. I had just shot a campaign in Italy. I spoke to him around that time when I was in Italy. I had gotten a phone. My parents got a hold of me. After I spoke to my parents, I had communicated with Johnny. He, on that phone call, I didn't know what was going on with him for those weeks. With his sobriety, I didn't know where his state was. I didn't know what state he was in. And when I spoke to him, he was saying what I can only just, he was going on about scientists and DNA and feces, that he had some scientific analysis done and DNA analysis done, and that, as soon as I heard about this feces, he thought that was a prank, and he was going on about all the scientists that he had conferred about the DNA results with. I just thought he was out of his mind, and thought clearly the drinking and the drugs are not getting better. Clearly the delusions aren't better. So
objection calls for speculation.
Your Honor, it's not about the truth of the matter. We're talking about what her...
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Please continue.
So I hung up from that phone call, assuming that, and then spoke to him once my parents got a hold of me to tell me about Betty Sue. We made a plan, Johnny and I, for him to come over. He said he really needed his wife. He had lost his mother and he missed his wife. He really needed his wife. He said it over and over again. I felt torn. I felt conflicted. I didn't think, obviously, the situation hadn't gotten better with Johnny mentally, and I was afraid that all the work and progress and distance I had finally got on the relationship for the first time. I had a month of distance on it, I didn't want that to be undone, but I also wanted to be, I was affected by the fact that his mother had passed. So he said he wanted to come over and talk about that, and he said he needed his wife, and we made a plan. We made a plan for him to come over during the day, thinking that might mitigate the amount that he would be drinking. Night is a little bit more dangerous. And in the early evening hours, I get a text from him that he's almost there, or that he's there. I think it was around 7:15 or so. And he came over, and we sat on the couch, and at first it was relatively peaceful. I mean, I could tell he was inebriated, but it makes sense. In my head, it made sense. He wasn't like incoherent. It was peaceful. And then he starts talking about the feces again, and this prank that he said one of my friends had left for him in my bed that he wasn't going to be at. And I tried to point out how that didn't make any sense. I'm not even going to be there. I wasn't there. And my friends wouldn't do that. That's not something a bunch of 30-year-old women think is funny. What is he talking about? And he just kept going on and on about it. So I text my friend that it's...
Objection, hearsay.
Don't tell the jury what you texted your friend, but go to the next thing. What did you do next?
I called my friend thinking that it would quell this, what I could only see as a delusion. I thought it was just a delusion he was having, and I thought, I'll hopefully, quell this by calling my friend to if he hears my friend say that didn't happen.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
It's not offering to prove the truth of it. Thank you. Please continue.
So I thought if I could get my friend on the phone to prove that this didn't happen, we could move on and talk about the issues that we should be talking about. We had, our marriage was over and falling apart in front of our eyes. We hadn't seen each other for a month, and his mom had just passed. I couldn't believe he wanted to talk about feces. So I call this friend thinking that we'll take care of it. The friend doesn't answer. I call another friend who is someone else he claimed. I don't know how both people did this, but he was claiming that this person was responsible. So I call that person. And that person is on speakerphone. And I
Tell
say,
us who that person is.
Io.
Io, tell it right?
Io, tell it right.
Okay. And then you put him on speakerphone with Johnny.
Right in front of Johnny.
Okay. And what happened next?
I allowed for an opportunity for Io to say why this is impossible.
Objection,
It's
hearsay.
not offered to prove the truth of the matter, is asserted, Your Honor. It's explaining the context that leads to the next acts.
Your Honor, it is being offered
We're
to
not
prove that.
here. We're not here about whether Io.
I'll sustain
on
the
the back.
objection. Next question.
All right. All right. So Io is talking. You can't tell us what he said. Okay.
Objection,
He's
Your
talking,
Honor.
correct?
May we approach?
Okay.
So Io is talking. We can't say what he said. What is the next thing that happens on your end with Mr. Depp?
It just made Johnny madder. He got more upset, grabbed the phone, and started screaming at Io. He just started screaming at the top of his lungs, said, "You dyke bitch, you don't know what you're talking," just screaming expletives, insulting names, and telling Io that he can have me and, fuck off, and just screaming at him. That's best I can describe it without getting into the details. He tosses the phone, down on the couch and heads upstairs. I pick up the phone and try to, apologize for the fact that my husband at the time just screamed at my friend on a cold call. I didn't want Io to think that's why I had called Io, to just be screamed at and blamed for something that sounded crazy, for lack of a better explanation. It sounded crazy. Io said something to me on speakerphone, and reminded me I wasn't safe.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter. It's to show what caused Mr. Depp to be set off and come back. I mean, it's not offered to prove